I'm Robert, and I decided to do comedy, or pursue comedy, I should say, when I turned 20 years old. That's the day that I told the people that are most important to me that I wanted to do comedy. It all started um, kind of just not being happy myself. I feel like for a long time, not for a long time because I'm 20, I'm 21 years old. I'm not for a long time, but for some time, I should say, I didn't feel like I was happy. And one thing that did make me feel happy, or did bring some sort of joy, or like acceptance, like people accepted me, or people wanted to be around me because I could make them laugh.
Like a purpose in a way.
Like a purpose, exactly. And just feeling like not everyone wanted to be around me all the time. I wanted something that would make people want to be around me. A lot of these feelings came from like past relationships and things like that. Like things that I think are funny now weren't so funny then. Like I've dated like a couple different girls, or more than a couple different girls who have dated girls directly after me, and it felt like it's funny now. Like I can tell myself now I'm like the coolest lesbian ever, but and that's funny and that's silly. But at the time when it first happens, you're like, geez, like all these girls wanted to be with girls after me. Like what's wrong with me? Nothing.
Yeah.
And I think going through different things like that, and in relationships, they also made me sadder. They gave me less self-worth. A lot of the time, and I'm sure this happens in every relationship, but I would have girls who didn't necessarily speak positive to me or positively about me, and it felt like crap. I started dating this girl, and it was around a time where I had the least self-worth, and to a point where I didn't feel like I should have been here, and even I didn't feel like I should have been here, to a point where I thought of not being here, and how I would take my own life, and how I would it sounds silly, but there's a line from a Tupac song. It's called Thug's Mansion, where he talks about seeing his mom's eyes and he can't do it, and that's how I felt. I felt like the people in my life that loved me, the people in my life that cared about me, that were around me, if they saw what I wanted to do, what I wanted, like how I wanted to not be here, I knew that would hurt them, and I just couldn't go through with it. And so around this time, when I had the least amount of self-worth, that's when this girl came into my life. This girl who, made everything so much worse than it had already been. And she was only in my life for 6 months. And in those 6 months, she made me feel worse than I did in 19 years or 20 years, however old I was when I met her. My bank account was gone. She talked a lot of crap to me. She told me every day for the last month or so. She would tell me every day that I'm annoying, and that I could do so much more for her. And she was living in my car. She was living in my freaking car. Like, what more do you want me to do? And the day, it was my birthday. It was June 28th. That's the day that I built up the courage to kick her out of my car. When I kicked her out of my car, I kicked her out of my life. And that day, that's the day that I found in myself the courage to tell my parents and tell the people around me that love me that I wanted to be a comic.
Wow.
That I wanted to make people laugh for money, but more for passion, more because I didn't feel happy. I wanted to make other people feel happy. And you see all kinds of different comics who feel this way. You know, they say that the people who want to make other people the happiest, those are the saddest people. Two of the big ones, Brody Stevens and Robin Williams. These are, you know, two of the big names, and they're successful, and they took their own lives because they couldn't find happiness in themselves, you know. Like anything similar to what I felt, I would never want that. I mean, people close to me, people not close to me, I would never want anyone to feel that feeling. I think at that point I kind of just wanted to make it for myself something that I'd pursue, not necessarily like to get back at her, like oh, you know, look at me now, because I mean, look at me now. It's not like I'm a ton further than I was before, but I am mentally. No, but when you're beat down that way, it does make you want to strive for something way better than what you have.
And how did your loved ones respond to at least saying that you wanted to do comedy?
Yeah, it definitely came as a shock, and they never discouraged me for wanting to be a comic. Everything I've ever wanted to do, my parents have always been like, well, yeah, you should probably go for it. Yeah, it was a positive reaction. Probably just not something that they were expecting. Everyone that I come across, if I do, because it is still really hard for me to say, because it's hard to explain that I'm an aspiring comic, right? I do open mics, and it's weird when you're like, hey, I want to be a comedian, and people are like, oh, well, make me laugh, and you're like, well, I don't work like that. I'm not a freaking clown.
Did you have any idea of what to do next, or were you just kind of like, okay, I said it, it's out there?
Yeah, no, I had no idea. I had no idea what to do next, and luckily there are all kinds of podcasts that will give you information on what you need to know and what you should do and where you should go and who you should talk to and all kinds of things like that. But no, I still have no idea where I'm going and what I'm gonna do, and I'm just trying to do it. And I think that's the biggest thing. Just do it. Just go for it. Just look something up. Look up blah 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 near me, and it'll literally take you to where you need to go. Yeah, no, I have no idea where I want to go, or you know, I don't know where I'm taking this. So I first started thinking about wanting to be in entertainment. I first started thinking about wanting to be an actor. It started with me wanting to be a musician, but I'm not that great of a musician. It came down to acting, and acting is fun, but it's not you. I'm not, you know, expressing myself. And doing comedy, doing stand-up comedy, I'm telling a story. I'm telling stories about myself, telling things about things that have happened in my life, and mishaps and things like that. It didn't right away make me want to be a comic. I knew that I wanted to be an entertainer. Yeah. Because it's all about being accepted. I didn't feel like I was for a long time, and it's all about being accepted and wanting people to see that I have more to offer than breath. Yeah. So in high school, I did do music, and I did musical theater, and I did stage theater and stuff like that, and that was fun. It was fun, but it wasn't me. You know, it wasn't my act. Me being able to go up and tell my stories and talk about what I want to talk about and how I feel and different situations that I've been in, that's what I like. I like to share who I am, and that's what stand-up comedy is all about for me. I knew it was more comedy because it was the laughs, like in personal interactions. It
Mm-hmm.
was the laughs that would draw me to people, or draw people to me. Vice versa. So that's really what got it. What got it for me. I mean, they say that laughter is the cheapest form of entertainment, but every movie has to have some sort of laugh in it. You want it, you expect it. Every movie, even scary movies, and it's the most enjoyable. Who doesn't want to? Who doesn't want to go and? Comedy is the biggest sense of relief, and stand up comedy in itself. What is comedy? Like a lot of the time when you're looking at Aziz, like I saw Aziz Ansari's most recent Netflix special. He's I don't want to spoil it, but he's talking a lot about himself and like the recent sex scandals and stuff like that, and like he's like, oh, like they're not real, but he's still acting like they are, and he's still making a joke out of it and making fun of himself for it, because you like to laugh and you like to see other people go through something that's hard, and they overcome. And that's what stand-up comedy is. You're talking about something that you've overcome, and you're making fun of it. You're laughing at it. It's a coping mechanism, but it helps. It works.
So do you think that your parents would go to your shows?
um I think they would, but I wouldn't want them to. I mean, the honest truth is I have no control over that. And if they do see it, and if my parents love me, you know, and no matter what I do, no matter where I've come from, or where I've been, or where I go, my parents will always love me, and I believe that to the fullest. It took a long time for me to accept myself, and accept who I am, and so naturally it made me feel like they wouldn't accept me, and accept who I am, and accept my life choices and things like that. This is a really abnormal goal. It's a really abnormal thing to strive for, and they're not against it. Everything I have to say is something that has happened in the past. It's not something who is me. It's not something that would define me. Um, these are all things that have already happened that I can't change. Now, they might be something that they might be things that aren't pleasant. They might be things that people don't want to hear about, especially the people that are close to me. But you know, giggle. They're funny. Yeah, it sucked when it sucked, but hey, it happened, and you can't change it. So just laugh at it. My biggest hurdle was myself. I think a lot of it had to do with accepting who I am and accepting what I want to do. A lot of it is willing to be able to share those stories because they're so personal. That was one of the things that really would still make me nervous today. Going and telling very personal stories about myself, sharing my deep inner thoughts. But honestly, one of the biggest hurdles, in being myself, is confidence. Going up on stage by yourself, standing in front of a room of people, they expect you to be funny, dude. It doesn't matter if it's an open mic. It doesn't matter if it's a theater with 12,000 people in it. They expect you to be funny. And if you get off that stage and you didn't make anybody laugh, dude, you go home and you're like, man, that was the first time I bombed, but should I do this again? That was the first time I failed at the thing that I love the most. Should I do this again? Yeah. Yes. This is the thing that you love. Martin Luther King Jr. had a quote where he was talking about, oh, here it is. He says, if a man has not discovered something that he would die for, he isn't fit to live at all. You know, and if you don't, I'm not necessarily saying that I would live and die for comedy, but if you don't have something that you're passionate about, find it, you know? Find something. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be something that's artsy. It could be rock climbing. It could be food. You know, you might make the best scrambled eggs. Hey, make those scrambled eggs, bro. Just find something that you're passionate about and live for that, bro. Yeah. So we're good?